We'll bring this meeting to order. We have before us a leak adjustment appeal from 12150 Railway Lane, Sonora. Mr. Stenger, would you like to speak first?
I can if you.
That's fine. We'd like to listen to you.
Okay. Okay. Well, good morning and thank you for your time and consideration. Okay. I appreciate the opportunity to appear before you personally, and I wanted to acknowledge and thank the district staff for their professionalism and their responsiveness once the leak was discovered. I'm not here asking the committee to ignore the district policy. I am respectfully asking the committee to consider whether equitable discretion is appropriate under the specific circumstances of this case. This was a concealed leak. The leak was not reasonably discoverable by us until the leak was not discoverable by us prior to the notification of the district. The district itself identified the abnormal usage through its high read process and notified us. Once the leak was discovered, we acted immediately. The water was shut off promptly. Permanent repair was completed without delay. And since the repair, there has been no continued excessive consumption. So the issue before the committee is not really the legitimacy of the leak. The district has acknowledged there was a leak. The issue is the application of the procedural timing requirement under these unusual facts. So my understanding is that the purpose of the policy is to encourage prompt action, cooperation, mitigation of water loss, and responsible customer conduct. In this case, all of those objectives were satisfied. There was immediate cooperation. There was immediate mitigation. There was immediate repair and complete cessation of the abnormal usage. So I respectfully submit that those are exactly the behaviors the policy is intended to encourage. I would respectfully ask the committee to recommend reconsideration of the adjustment to the February billing. I believe the facts support an equitable exception consistent with the intent of the policy. And I thank you again for your time, service, and consideration.
Okay, who would like to tell us about our part? April, is that you?
Yeah, I mean, I would be happy to. So yes, as Mr. Stenger said, there was a leak. We discovered the leak through our high read process. Mr. Stenger and his wife were notified. They acted immediately. They shut off the access to the water. They also made the permanent repair. There's been no further leak issues after that. Everything stated is absolutely correct. And then we received the leak adjustment application with all of that information in there. And that leak adjustment was denied based on the policy of, but the point in the policy of the fact that we do expect to receive leak adjustment applications within the time frame of billing, where we send a bill and then it's due 30 days later. We expect to receive leak adjustment applications within 30 days, while that revenue due is still within our current revenue due reports. As soon as a bill becomes more than 30 days late, That revenue due changes from current revenue due to delinquent revenue or aging revenue. And so, well, yes, the policy in requesting that customers repair their leaks and apply within 30 days of getting the bill is to encourage prompt action. That is the main point of it. There's also kind of the background point of it, which would be within our finance side of things, of being able to predict adjustments like this when it's in current revenue due rather than. So we received the leak adjustment application far past the 30 days that it's required, which would be why the only reason it was.
Was there not a secondary leak on April 1st?
No, ma'am. It wasn't a secondary leak. It was the same leak that actually expanded across 2 billing cycles.
Okay.
And so the majority, the vast majority of that large leak was within 1 billing cycle that was billed to him on February 2nd. The very tail end, the last little bit of that leak was captured in the next billing cycle, which was then billed to him on April 1st.
So that was part of the original leak, but it was just because it fell over the secondary billing. And that's the one that was, an application was received and adjusted? Is that correct?
No, so we have not done the adjustment.
Not on the first one, on the second one.
Right, so I can approve the adjustment on the second one because the application was received during the period of time that that revenue due was in the current during the 30 days while that bill was out there. And so that's why I recommended that we do approve the adjustment for the period of time that the policy will allow the second bill. It is much smaller because it was the very tail end of that leak.
Right. So the original one was discovered on January 12th. He was mailed on the 27th. He fixed it.
I believe he fixed it the same day. Yes,
On the 12th?
the same day it was discovered.
But you didn't send in the application for the adjustment until past that pay period?
Well, what happened was that the leak, there was a leak. The leak was discovered in your second billing period. So consequently, it had carried through the first one. As soon as it was discovered, it was fixed. And that's the reason that you see these 2 bills.
So what was the pay periods? I mean,
The service period?
yes, thank you.
Yeah, so we read meters once every 2 months.
Correct.
Okay, so in this case, the first bill that we're discussing that had the majority of that service period was from November 10th to January 10th.
Okay.
We, how our meter reading works is we allow up to 7 days before that due date of a read, January 10th, or 7 days after, a week, either way, that we
Okay.
get the reading. In this case, we actually physically read the meter on January 12th. And so what Mr. Stenger was billed for on February 2nd was November 10th through January 10th. And there were 2 days there, the January 12th, that would have been on the next bill, which is why that tail end portion of that leak did appear on the next bill.
Did you not receive that bill, Mr. Singer?
Which bill?
The first one for the November to the January bill.
Yes, we received the bills. We had no indication of a leak anywhere other than the flow, the high read.
Yes, so I believe to clarify, what Ms. Reel's saying is we were made aware of the leak, everyone was aware of the leak, and it was repaired January 12th.
which is outside of the billing of that first bill.
Outside of the service dates,
That-
yes.
Right,
Sure. The bill was sent to you for November 10th through January 10th. The bill was sent to you on February 2nd. And so February 2nd is when the 30-day due date starts, not the service period of June. Is that,
Do you understand that, Mr. Stanger?
I understand the service.
Okay,
Yes,
and
okay.
the 30-day
Yes.
from the February 2nd, is that correct? You understand that the bill went out February 2nd with the large amount of over water or a leak issue on it. And so it came to you on February 2nd. Although the service dates were before that, it was included on that billing because they recognized the excessive water usage. Now, you understand that?
Well, I understand that we noticed that excessive water leak or usage then as a result of the billing. And then we discovered it after that billing.
oh, no, sir. No, I'm
Then-
sorry. On January 12th
Yes.
is when everyone discovered the leak and it was repaired promptly.
Right?
On February 2nd
Oh,
is
okay.
when you received the bill for that leak.
For the end of it.
No, the beginning.
No, the beginning of it. Okay, yes, right.
Okay.
So, because
Okay.
we bill in arrears, and so
Right.
from November 10th to January 10th is when the majority of that leak consumption occurred
Mhm.
for the service period. We bill in arrears, so for that period, we sent your bill for that period on February 2nd,
Mhm.
and that would be when the 30 days to apply started.
Right. Okay.
So you were aware of the leak, fixed the leak. There's no denying that. It's just when we sent you the bill on February 2nd, that would be when the 30 days to apply for the adjustment started. And we didn't receive the adjustment application in April.
So you had 30
When-
days from February 2nd to submit it, which would have put it March 2nd. Okay, and they didn't receive the application until April, which threw it off, but it did go to the second billing, which was, still had a part of the leak on it. Not that the leak wasn't fixed, the leak was fixed, but you still had a portion of it on the second bill because it was still going, it had still been going past the service date.
For
Correct.
2 days.
Yeah.
So so when I repaired the leak is when the billing for that would cease. And that is so I'm trying to pay the bill, get the consideration of the entire leak, the cost of that leak.
Right, and you did not submit it within the 30 days of the original leak. You're aware of that?
The original leak was undiscoverable.
Well, until you fixed it, but it still had the leak on your property. And as soon as you received the billing, you had 30 days to submit the application from February 2nd, when you received the bill.
However, the leak would have continued,
Well, it didn't continue. You had it fixed, but
not at that billing,
Sir,
at February 2nd, yes,
at the February 2nd.
that was your
Yeah,
billing
yeah,
from November to January. I do have this correct, right?
yes.
Okay,
The leak was found and repaired on January 12th.
Okay.
We sent the original bill of the leak on February 2nd. That was when the 30 days to apply for an adjustment began.
Okay, well, internally, I get TUD bills for 4 different properties. And so by the time this one came to my attention is when we said, we need to get an adjustment. We found out there's a formal process for that, where you get the forms, fill in the forms and get them to you.
Well, to be clear,
Yes,
Arlene, your
Right.
wife, right, Arlene?
and she had forms.
Yeah.
And then,
She called me on January 27th,
okay,
prior to
asking
the
for-
bill even going out. So I think there was some awareness that, this would be a substantial bill.
right,
You guys did ask what can be done. That was explained on January 27th, in that conversation with Arlene. It was emailed to her on January 27th.
Mhm.
The bill was sent to you guys on February 1st. And then we received the application on April 9th.
Okay,
So,
that's just when I filled out the form.
Right.
Right,
right.
okay.
There seemed to be awareness of the leak adjustment policy before the bill was even sent to you. It was, is.
We knew that
I would
I
say.
think in a discussion with you on the phone possibly, you said there is a leak adjustment policy.
Yes. And she and I discussed that
Okay.
and I emailed it to her
Okay,
on January 27th, before the bill came out. And then the bill came out on February 2nd, but we didn't receive the application back in the time frame required for the January 2nd bill.
Although you didn't have to send it in until, you had until March 2nd to send it in because your billing ended and they sent you the bill on the 2nd. But according to April, she spoke to your wife regarding it on the 27th of January. So you were aware. Do you have any questions, Jeff? Okay. Do you have any comments, Don? Okay, so,
I do just
okay.
one extra. I would like to at least be able to adjust the bill that that the application would qualify an adjustment for. As I've explained, we can do an adjustment to the April bill. I know is not nearly as much as the February bill, but if he would accept it, we can do an adjustment at least to that consumption.
okay, would,
Hold on just a
How
minute.
much were the bills?
The original bill was almost $5,000. And the secondary bill was 727, one that they can do the adjustment on. See, here's the adjustment one and here's the original. So, but the original one is the one that we didn't get the application in on. Okay. So, does anyone else have any questions? Do you want to discuss this? We just, vote or make a decision? Okay. Okay. So we just recommend whatever we feel is appropriate here. Is that correct? So,
yeah,
yes, please.
so my request is that the committee consider unique circumstances here and that the determine if equitable discretion is appropriate in this case.
Okay. Do you have anything, Don? Nothing?
Thank you. Well, I think both parties did a great job of explaining their position, and I think the information was received well by the committee. Unfortunately, this doesn't happen just once. This happens, several times a year. We stick with the policy. So it is unfortunate, but the policy is the policy. My recommendation is to stick with the policy. Some point down the road, if the board wants to consider adjusting the policy in some manner, fine, but I think it would be precedent setting to do something that we haven't done for many years at this point.
Jeff, do you have any other comments?
Fortunate.
Yeah,
It's expensive and it does happen a lot on customer side of the meter and on our side, 330 miles. It happens.
so, my recommendation for this would be, I'm sorry to say, the first bill cannot be done because of the policy that is already established with TUD, but we're more than happy to give you because of the application was received on the second one, we can, give you the discount on the second billing. If that is sufficient for you, Mr. I
I
know
would-
the other one is very high, but it's like,
Well, it's a single leak
yes,
and leak was not reasonably discoverable until it was on that particular day. And I think that paperwork part of it was secondary, stopping the leak. Leak was repaired immediately.
Right, but they also
we-
called you on the phone and let you know prior to the billing date. So this is the other thing that we have to take into consideration. Our staff was very diligent on notifying you, telling you that you needed to fill out this application. And I understand that your wife was spoken to when she had the information. So it's like, I believe that we need to stick with the TUD policy. You know, although it's not always the easiest way to go, but we can discount the second one because it was received within the timeline.
So we're not looking at the leak, we're looking at a portion.
Well, we looked at the leak and that it was fixed. You did everything appropriately. It's just the paperwork wasn't filed in the timing that needed to be. That's,
Hence I'm asking for some equitable discretion.
well, at this point, because of the policy, we really have to hold to it. Because if, you know, this would set a precedent for many other people who have the same problem. And it happens often, as our general manager said. So I am reluctant to give you any equability.
It's, I understand if I would not have fixed the leak and it continued to run for another month, then I would have gotten the February billing resolved. So if I did nothing and just let it run, wasting more water, having an increased flow rate, then we'd be here saying, I can make a several $1,000 investment within the
I
same
don't believe
policy.
that's within the policy. We don't give several thousand. We only go up to 1,000. Is that correct? Or do we do more?
We can do leak adjustments for well over 1,000. Once a leak adjustment amount hits 1,000, that's when we actually bring it to the board for approval. Okay. Aware of larger leaks that are being adjusted. So I'm not, I think I'm confused by what Mr. say.
Mr. Stanger, if you hadn't have fixed it, your water would have been, it was shut off anyway, if I'm correct? They shut his water off.
We turned it off when the leak.
Yes. So it wouldn't have gone any further once it was discovered. So the secondary bill wouldn't have been as high because they'd already shut your water off.
However, had we not turned it off, the leak would have continued. It would have gone on to also increase the charges on the April bill even further than they were. The February bill would have stayed the same, was
Right.
what the rate was at that point. So if Mr. Stanger is suggesting that he could have just let it run and somehow it would have been cheaper for him, that's just factually untrue because the February bill would have still been nearly 5,000, and then the April bill would have been much higher.
Right, and so my point was that if it would have run throughout February, then the adjustment would have been for, let's say, $2,500. February,
On your April bill,
correct,
sure.
right,
If your consumption on your April bill was higher than it was,
right,
I could approve a higher adjustment of a
Right.
leak. It would not have affected the $5,000 February bill. You still would have been responsible for that, as well as a higher April bill.
correct. Okay, so the reason I brought that up was just that I'm trying to follow the policy's intent of cooperation. And those people that would not cooperate actually would end up being granted a higher credit on their bill than for a particular leak.
Well, I think
this-
that maybe we can explain it this way.
Okay,
You had a bill from November to January.
Right.
It was 5,000. If
Yeah.
you would have let it run through the next billing cycle, according to the policy, you only get one discount a year.
Mhm.
So you still would have been responsible for the full November to January bill. You might have got a bigger discount on the next bill.
right,
But that's,
right, and it's just.
yeah, it's
Uh,
irrelevant, really, yeah. So,
A lot of money either way.
yeah, so again, I'm sorry, but
Okay,
with the TUD policy, my recommendation is that we will follow through on the discount on the second bill because the application was received. It may not be as much, but at least it's more than what you have to pay on that bill. And the first one, we cannot because we did not receive the paperwork.
and if
Do
we,
you agree, Director Hollis? Okay, all right.
I understand I understand where you're coming from because of the billing cycles.
Correct.
I do not understand why we can't say that this leak cost this much money. Let's discount.
Well, because of the policy.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly. And
it's
so
all
that's
about-
why I'm here.
Yeah, that's why we have the policy
Right.
the way it is. So thank you very much for coming, Mr. Singer. I hope that will satisfy you for at least a portion.
Thank you.